Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah.
Welcome back
Please
to
tell me all
That
the bad
Sports
and
Show.
the
We're
good,
going
fill
through
my
every
head
single
full of
team.
every
We are in the AFC North. We are headed towards the start of the regular season. We're breaking down the records game by game, trying to do it all in under 15 minutes. We are here with the Adam Hulse of Adam Hulse Sports, at Adam Hulse Sports on Twitter, NFL writer for Sportskeeda. Adam, welcome back. Time to hit Baltimore. This one should be fun with Lamar Jackson coming back, not really knowing what the receivers are going to do. OBJ, how's the defense looking? This one will be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, is OBJ going to even be ready for week one? You know, still coming off of that injury, hasn't really played much. Apparently, you know, he wasn't healthy enough to come back at the end of last year, so we'll see how that all plays out. And for a long time, it looked like Lamar Jackson wasn't going to be in Baltimore. He is. He got what he was looking for, so let's see what that brings.
Week one brings Houston into Baltimore. We've already gone through the AFC South. Didn't give them a lot of wins across the board aside from the Jags. Houston coming to Baltimore. Stroud comes in for his first NFL game. I do think that Baltimore's a little bit more of a mess than they want to be right now, but I think this is a good game for them to get, and I think they hand Houston their first loss. Baltimore with the win at home. You said the same.
Yeah, perfect warm-up situation, right? Nice, easy game to get things started for Baltimore with all the question marks. You know, this should, be a confidence booster for them.
Then they got to go against the division rival Cincinnati. Cincinnati is one of those teams, kind of like the Jags, the clear best team in the division on paper. Try not to hand Cincinnati all the wins. This is Cincinnati at home in their home opener. I got to believe that Cincinnati handles business here against Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cincinnati is going to win a lot of games this year. I mean, they're obviously a very good team. And, the big thing that they really have going for them, too, is the continuity. This is basically the same roster that they're trotting out for, a third year in a row. I'm thinking pretty big things for the Bengals this year.
Yeah, the top teams are really doing a good job of that. And it's something that we haven't seen a lot of aside from the Patriots. We talk about dynasties. Patriots were pretty much able to keep the same roster rolling out. And now teams have kind of accepted that blueprint, except for Kansas City, of course, who keeps winning the thing. So maybe having the same roster isn't always the best thing. Indianapolis comes to Baltimore for game 3. We gave Baltimore the win. Indianapolis kind of still trying to figure things out. Baltimore gets the win against Richardson in Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, this should be a fun running quarterback kind of game. It could be, a really exciting game to watch. I think Lamar Jackson will get up for this game a little bit, and that's why I picked the Ravens.
In the previous show, we split here. I gave visiting teams splits between Baltimore and Cleveland. It's in Cleveland. I gave Baltimore the win. You gave Baltimore the loss. And then they head to Pittsburgh, Baltimore. This division, that's why I like this division so much. This is why my favorite division, not just because Pittsburgh's in it, but because the division games are all dogfights. They all are great games to watch. None of these teams in this division really like each other that much. And so you got Baltimore playing Cincinnati in week 2, Cleveland in week 4, and now Pittsburgh in week 5. In Pittsburgh, I'm still giving Pittsburgh the win against Baltimore in this one, but it's going to be close. I could very easily pick Pittsburgh to lose this game. I'm just not going to.
You hit the nail on the head with this division. They play tough, physical, really old school football kind of games a lot of times with this division, because a lot of these teams really do not like each other. These are true rivalry kind of situations, which I really like. The game's in Pittsburgh. I'm going to favor the Steelers.
I'm actually kind of surprised that you picked that. I was wondering which way you were going to go. Tennessee, we talked about AFC South. This game's in London, and that's really the difference. Game had been in the States, might be talking something a little different, especially with Tennessee. Being in London is kind of on a neutral turf. Both teams are going to want to show out. Obviously, the NFL has Baltimore there for a reason with King Henry. I just think Baltimore is going to show out a little bit more. I think Lamar Jackson is way more than Tennessee can handle. Tennessee is going to have an improved defense, but in London, I'm going to take Baltimore. You also took Baltimore against London.
Yeah, simply, I just think the Ravens are the better team when you really look at it position group by position group. And, on a neutral field, I'll go with the Ravens.
Baltimore has such a fun schedule. I really like their overall schedule. Week 7, Detroit is coming to Baltimore. Detroit, one of those teams that a lot of people are up on, me being one of them. One of those teams that should be performing, that should be balling out. The only reason that that I don't give Detroit the win in this one is that home field advantage. I'm actually giving Baltimore the win against Detroit in Baltimore.
I actually agree with you. I'm going to give the Ravens at home in this one. I mean, I like Detroit this year. I think everybody likes Detroit this year, but I don't know if Detroit is going to be as good as some people are expecting them to be on the road in Baltimore. I don't think that's a game they win.
In week 8, they travel to Arizona. I really hate being so down on Arizona. Like I want to find something positive to say about Arizona. James Conner to me is like the most positive thing I can say about Arizona. And even still, I don't know that he's necessarily a top 10 running back. And if that's all you got, then it's not really that hard to defend against. Kyler Murray does have talent. He can play, but I just don't know that they have the talent needed to win a lot of games. And I give Baltimore another one.
It's crazy how quick the Cardinals fell off. I mean, just 2 years ago, remember, they were like 12-0 or 11-0 or whatever it was. They were that last undefeated team standing, and then everything fell apart late in that season, and they lost their first playoff game, and then they were a disaster last year. And now this year, everyone, myself included, thinks they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. So to go from that undefeated to arguably, one of the worst teams in the NFL, that's a really quick drop off. Like they didn't lose their quarterback or have something catastrophic like that happen. So like it's a really crazy situation with the Cardinals, but I do agree with you that they're going to lose this game to the Ravens.
We're going to talk more about it when we get to Arizona in just a few episodes. I really think the Kyler Murray contract situation was mishandled. I think there's a lot of fallback from that. I think JJ Watt saw the writing on the wall, and that's why he retired. Yeah, a lot of not good things happening in Arizona, and I think that is going to reflect. And so we go to Baltimore versus Seattle. Again, this should be a fun one. It's in Baltimore. Seattle has to come to Baltimore to play this game. Baltimore should win this game. I don't want to be too overhyped on Seattle, but man, I really like Seattle. What are you thinking for this?
This is a tough game to pick, right? This is one of those games where if it was out in Seattle, I would definitely be on the Seahawks, given all the situations around it. In Baltimore makes this a tough coin flip kind of game to me. I'm going to give it to the Ravens because they're at home and it's that West Coast team traveling across the country type of deal.
I know, I definitely hear that. I just like Seattle talent level. I like their coaching better. I'm actually going the other way. I'm giving Seattle the win, Baltimore the loss for week 9 in a really great game. And like that, you absolutely right. Hard to call. Week 10, last episode, Cleveland comes to Baltimore. I gave Baltimore the loss. You gave Baltimore the win. And I said in that episode, I actually kind of like your pick, but I wasn't going to switch mine. Then they go week 11, Cincinnati comes in. So they get a 3-game homestand, Seattle, Cleveland, Cincinnati. I have them losing all 3 of them. That's just how I have it down.
As I said before, I think that Cincinnati is going to win a lot of games this year. That continuity is very important. They should be very comfortable. They're not going through many changes at all. I think they're going to roll and they're going to win this one.
Write it down. Sweep for Cincinnati against Baltimore. So saith the Adam Hulse. They travel out to the Chargers. That should be a fun game. Baltimore traveling out to LA. Can the Chargers get stuff together? We'll talk about that in future episodes. Right now, we're talking about, will Baltimore have enough to take them down? And it really depends on what the Chargers put together, if they actually are living up to their potential at this point, like they have supposed to have been doing over the last couple of years, or if they're just a super talented team with mediocre results.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers, another one to me, hard team to predict this year. Obviously, the talent is there, but they have played below their talent level. Are they going to be, again, another, 500-ish team, maybe a little bit better? Or is it finally going to click this year for that talented roster for Justin Herbert? And can they be, one of those elite teams like they're, quote unquote, supposed to be? This game being played in LA, I'm going to give the Chargers the win in this one, again, with the advantage being the home field.
Yeah, I do as well. For me, that gives Baltimore a 4-game loss streak, losing to Seattle, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Chargers. You have a split in those 4 games. They get a much needed bye week for me to figure things out. Then the Rams come in. And again, we talked about this in the last one. We're down on the Rams. It's easy to want to downplay the Rams, but they do still have Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp comes to Baltimore. And the question is, can Baltimore stop him and generate enough offense to win this game?
I think they can. They're playing at home. They're coming off of a bye week. The Rams are traveling across the country. You combine those 3 things, and I think the Ravens should win this game.
The Ravens definitely should win this game. I'm not sure that they do, but I am going to give the Ravens the win after the bye. A little extra time. Week 15, 17, they play Jacksonville. I have them beating Jacksonville. You have them losing to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's going to be good. I think it's just one of these good games that you're going to get.
Yeah, that's a pretty big upset. I only had the Jags losing 3 games. This wasn't one of them at home against the Ravens.
They go to San Francisco. San Francisco's either going to have it dialed in and they're going to be hitting on all cylinders, or they're already going to have lost the season and given up and be looking for a nice draft pick to get themselves a quarterback. At San Francisco, towards the end of the season, it's week 16, playoff wild cards, implications throughout the board. This is kind of a hard one to pick, I think, as well.
It is kind of a tough one to pick. San Francisco, that defense, I think, is going to be the difference in this one. I think they'll be able to contain that dynamic rushing style of the Ravens, and I'm going to favor the 49ers.
I do also have the 49ers winning at home. For me, that is a difference. I think if it was the other way around, I probably would have given Baltimore the win in that one, but I do have the 49ers winning. Then we get a fun one, potentially. Week 17, Miami comes to Baltimore, and what we're all hoping is that Tua is there, and we get the show that we're supposed to get. This is one of the games kind of circled on my calendar that should be really entertaining.
Yeah, this is a great late season matchup, and it's probably going to be an important game for both teams who should both be kind of in that wild card playoff type of mix. It might be a must-win kind of game for both of these teams. I'm going to give Tua the benefit of the doubt that he will be playing and he will be healthy. I know that's always the big risk with Tua, but if he's on the field, I think the Dolphins are the better team, and I think the Dolphins win the game.
Because it's in Baltimore, I actually have it going the other way. I've got Miami losing. It's going to be cold, potential for snow. The wind's definitely going to be whipping off the water. I don't want to give too much weight to weather because these are professionals and they all have to play in conditions they might or may not be used to. Final game of the season, Pittsburgh comes into Baltimore. It's the last game of the year. I got Pittsburgh winning this game. They just do well in the last game of the season. They do well against divisional opponents. This is going to be a dogfight for sure, no matter what. There's either going to be a lot of rage let out on this field because the seasons didn't go the way they were supposed to, or one of these teams definitely could be looking for a playoff spot. I'm giving Pittsburgh the win in Baltimore because it's the last game of the year.
We talked a lot about, the big division rivalries of the AFC North. We talked a lot about, these home splits that I like, and I think this is another one, home split, so I'm going to go Baltimore.
All the way through it. This was a rough one, and we still have 2 more teams in this division to go. This division is smash mouth, and then they're playing the NFC West. The NFC West is supposed to be a little more aired out. A lot of questions there with Arizona and the Rams. I just really like Baltimore's schedule. I think Baltimore's going to be a fun team to watch this year because of the matchups that they have.
The matchups, and when you have Lamar Jackson, you're always going to be exciting, right?
Absolutely.
So I guess we agree on records for both the Browns and Ravens.
Different ways for both of us. One better than Cleveland. I can't wait to see how these other 2 teams are going to come out. But 9 wins, not a bad year for Baltimore, I don't think. I don't think they'll be happy with 9 wins.
No, I think they're looking for double-digit wins for sure. With all that money that they gave Lamar Jackson, 9 wins probably isn't even good enough to make the playoffs. We'll see how that wild card picture plays out with our predictions. They didn't pay Lamar Jackson all this money to win 9.
Exactly the point I was going to make. If they don't get in the double digits, if they don't make the playoffs this year, there's going to be some check writers that are not going to be very happy about it. But that's where we have them sitting. Where do you guys have them sitting? Let us know. Come back, check out the rest of this division as we go through the AFC North and we go through every team in the NFL on the way to opening day. We're going to see where they land. AFC North, Pittsburgh, my Steelers, black and yellow, coming up next. Make sure you catch it with myself, Chris Fox at The Effin' Show, EFIN, and the Adam Hulse at Adam Hulse Sports, NFL writer for Sports Kita. We'll see you on the next one.
You can have it douse, not what I'm about. Have your cloud, it be raining now. I keep making sound, go another round. I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me. A slow burn like a disease.